Lady Rosalind Ashworth pressed her trembling hands against the cold stone wall of Blackmoor Castle. The torches flickered in the dark hallway. Her heart pounded like thunder in her chest. She had come here to save her family, but now she feared she had walked into a trap. The heavy wooden door creaked open behind her. She did not need to turn around to know who it was. The air itself seemed to grow colder when he entered a room. "You came," said a deep voice that sent shivers down her spine. Rosalind slowly turned to face Lord Damien Blackmoor. Even in the dim light, she could see the terrible scars that covered the left side of his face. They ran from his temple down to his jaw. His left eye was clouded and blind, but his right eye burned with an intensity that made her breath catch. "I gave you my word, my lord," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Damien stepped closer. He was tall and broad-shouldered. His black hair was longer than fashion demanded. He wore all black, like shadows made flesh. The scars should have made him hideous. Instead, they made him fascinating. "Dangerous." "Your word," he repeated, and there was something like amusement in his voice. "How precious, how rare." Rosalind lifted her chin. "I keep my promises, even when they cost you everything." She thought of her father's debts, her mother's tears, her little sister Emma, only 12 years old, who would be turned out onto the streets if Rosalind failed, especially then. Damien circled her slowly, like a predator studying its prey. "You know why you are here." It was not a question. Rosalind's cheeks burned with shame, but she met his gaze. "Yes, say it." Her hands clenched into fists. "To pay my family's debt to you." "And how will you pay it?" The words stuck in her throat. She had to force them out. With my body. For 1 year." Damien stopped directly in front of her. He was so close she could smell his scent, leather and sandalwood, and something wild. "Look at me when you say it." Rosalind raised her eyes to his. "I will be your mistress. For 1 year, until the debt is paid." Something flickered in his good eye. Surprise? Disappointment? She could not tell. "Mistress," he said softly. Such a pretty word for such an ugly arrangement. Before she could respond, he reached out and touched her cheek. His fingers were surprisingly gentle. The calluses spoke of a man who had known hard work, not just the soft life of nobility. "You are afraid of me," he said. "Yes. Good. Fear will keep you alive in this place." He dropped his hand and walked to the window. Outside, storm clouds gathered in the night sky. "Tell me, Lady Rosalind, what do you know of me? I know you are called the Beast of Blackmoor. I know you were a great warrior until—" She gestured helplessly at his scars. "Until I was ruined," he finished. "Until I became a monster." "I did not say that." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You did not need to. It is written on your face, in your trembling hands, in the way you shrink from me." Lightning flashed outside the window, illuminating his damaged features. For a moment, he looked like something from a nightmare. Then the darkness returned, and he was just a man again. A broken man. "I will not force you," he said quietly. "Despite what your father may have told you, despite what the contract says. I am many things, Lady Rosalind, but I am not a rapist." She stared at him in shock. "Then why?" "Because I am lonely," he said simply. "Because I am tired of being alone in this cursed place. Because your father owes me £50,000, and I would rather have your company than his blood." Rosalind's mind reeled. £50,000. It was even worse than she had thought. Her father had not just gambled away their estate. He had gambled away their lives. 1 year, Damien continued. "You will live here, in comfort. You will dine with me. Speak with me. Perhaps, if you can bear it, you will let me look upon beauty again." His voice grew bitter. "It has been so long since I have seen anything beautiful that was not afraid of me." Tears pricked Rosalind's eyes, not from fear now, but from something else. Pity? No. It was deeper than that. It was recognition. She too knew what it meant to be alone. "And after 1 year, you will be free. Your family's debt will be paid. You may go wherever you wish, with enough gold to ensure you never want for anything again." It was not the brutal arrangement she had expected. It was almost kind. But that made it no less a prison. "I have no choice," she whispered. "There is always a choice," Damien said. "But sometimes all our choices are bad ones." Thunder crashed overhead. Rain began to patter against the windows. "Your chambers are prepared," he said. "Agnes will show you the way. Tomorrow we will discuss the rules of this arrangement." "Rules?" His scarred mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Oh yes, Lady Rosalind, there are always rules, even in paradise, even in hell." Rosalind barely slept that first night. Her chamber was beautiful, far grander than her room at home had ever been. The bed was enormous, with silk hangings and down pillows. A fire crackled in the marble fireplace. Paintings of pastoral scenes decorated the walls, but it was still a prison, a golden cage. Agnes, the elderly housekeeper, had brought her supper on a silver tray: roasted chicken, fresh bread, wine that tasted like liquid sunlight, more food than Rosalind had seen in months. Her family had been surviving on bread and thin soup. "His lordship wants you well fed," Agnes had said, with a knowing look. "You're too thin." Now Rosalind stood at her window, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of rose and gold. The grounds of Blackmoor Castle stretched out below her, gardens and meadows, a small lake that sparkled like a mirror. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It was not home. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." Agnes entered, carrying a tray of breakfast and a gown of deep blue silk. "His lordship requests your presence in the library at 10 o'clock. Rosalind nodded. She had expected this. Time to learn the rules of her captivity. The library was magnificent. Books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. Damien sat behind an enormous oak desk, reading. He looked up when she entered. In the daylight, his scars were even more pronounced, but somehow they seemed less frightening now. She could see that he had once been handsome. Perhaps he still was, in a harsh, dangerous way. "Good morning, Lady Rosalind. I trust you slept well?" "Well enough, my lord." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. "Please, sit. We have much to discuss." She sat, folding her hands in her lap. The blue silk gown fit her perfectly. She wondered how he had known her measurements. "First," Damien said, "you will address me as Damien, not my lord. We are to be companions. Let us at least pretend to be equals." "Very well, Damien." His name felt strange on her tongue, intimate. "Second, you have free run of the castle and grounds. You are not a prisoner, despite what you may think. The only place forbidden to you is the East Tower. Do not go there." "Why?" "Because I am asking you not to." There was finality in his voice that brooked no argument. "Third, we will dine together each evening at 7 o'clock. You will tell me about your day. I will tell you about mine. We will attempt to be civilized. And if I do not wish to dine with you, then you will dine alone in your chamber, and we will both be miserable. But you will still dine with me the next evening." Despite everything, Rosalind almost smiled. You are very sure of yourself. I am sure of very little, Lady Rosalind. But I am sure that isolation drives men mad. I have been isolated long enough. There was pain in his voice. Old pain, like a wound that had never properly healed. How long? She asked softly. How long what? How long have you been alone? Damien was quiet for a long moment. 3 years, since the fire. Fire? His hand moved unconsciously to his scarred cheek. The fire that did this to me. The fire that killed my wife. Rosalind's breath caught. Oh, I did not know you had been married. Her name was Catherine. She was beautiful. Perfect. Everything a duchess should be. His voice grew bitter. She died trying to save me from my own stupidity. What happened? That, Lady Rosalind, is a story for another day. He stood abruptly. Your fourth and final rule. You will not pity me. I can bear many things, but not pity. I do not pity you. Do you not? She looked at him, really looked at him, at the proud set of his shoulders, despite his pain, at the intelligence in his good eye, at the careful control he kept over himself. No, she said, truthfully, I do not pity you. I think you have been hurt, but you are not broken. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise again, as if kindness was the last thing he had expected from her. We shall see, he said quietly. The days began to settle into a pattern. Rosalind would rise early and explore the castle. She found a music room with a beautiful pianoforte, a conservatory filled with exotic flowers, a stable with the finest horses she had ever seen. She began to understand that Damien was not just wealthy. He was extraordinarily wealthy, richer than kings, rich enough to buy and sell men like her father a dozen times over. Yet he seemed to take no joy in his wealth. He moved through his castle like a ghost, haunting the place where he had once been happy. Their dinners were stilted at first, polite conversation about books and weather, but gradually they began to talk about deeper things. Why did your father gamble so much? Damien asked one evening over roasted lamb and wine. Rosalind set down her fork. My mother was very beautiful. My father adored her. When she began to age, he could not accept it. He thought if he won enough money, he could buy back her youth somehow, make her happy again. And instead, he lost everything. Yes, including her happiness. Damien poured himself more wine. Men do foolish things for love. Have you ever done foolish things for love? His hand tightened on his wine glass. Yes, and people died because of it. He would not say more, and Rosalind did not press. But she filed the knowledge away. Damien carried guilt as well as scars. A week passed. Then 2. Rosalind found herself looking forward to their dinners. Damien was intelligent and well-read. He had traveled extensively before his accident. He told her stories of foreign courts and distant lands that made her feel she was traveling too. More surprisingly, he seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts. He asked her opinion on books, on politics, on philosophy. No one had ever asked her opinion on anything before. You have a good mind, he told her one evening. It is wasted on needlework and watercolors. What would you have me do with it? Anything you wished. Read law, if it pleased you. Study medicine. Learn to manage estates. He smiled slightly. In another life, you might have been a formidable duchess. In another life, you might have been a happy man. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Damien's smile faded. I was happy once, he said quietly, briefly. You could be happy again. No. His voice was firm. Happiness is for people who deserve it. And you do not? I am responsible for my wife's death, Lady Rosalind. For the death of my unborn child. For the deaths of 12 good men who tried to save us. Happiness is not for men like me. Rosalind's heart clenched. What happened that night? Damien stood abruptly. I think we have talked enough for one evening. He left her sitting alone at the great dining table, staring after him. The next morning, Rosalind found herself drawn to the East Tower, the one place Damien had forbidden her to go. She did not plan to enter. She was simply curious. But as she approached the heavy wooden door, she heard something that made her stop. Music. Someone was playing the piano. The melody was heartbreakingly beautiful and infinitely sad. She had never heard anything like it. It seemed to capture all the loneliness and pain in the world and transform it into something transcendent. Without thinking, she pressed her ear to the door. The music swelled, then broke off abruptly. I know you are there. Damien's voice came through the door. Rosalind's cheeks burned with shame at being caught. I am sorry, she called. I did not mean to intrude. I heard the music and the door opened. Damien stood there, still in his shirt sleeves. His hair was disheveled. He looked younger somehow, more vulnerable. You play beautifully, she said. It was Catherine's song. I wrote it for her. His voice was rough. I have not played it in 3 years. Why did you play it today? Because you said I could be happy again. Because for a moment, I almost believed you. Rosalind's breath caught. May I see? For a long moment, she thought he would refuse. Then he stepped aside. The room was a shrine. Portraits of a beautiful woman with golden hair and laughing eyes covered the walls. There were flowers everywhere, fresh flowers, changed daily. In the center of the room sat a magnificent grand piano. Catherine, Rosalind whispered, looking at the portraits. Catherine, Damien confirmed. My wife, my salvation, my destruction. She was beautiful. She was everything good in the world. And I killed her. Rosalind turned to face him. Tell me what happened, please. Damien was quiet for so long she thought he would not answer. Then he began to speak, his voice hollow. There was a fire in the village. The inn was burning. People were trapped inside. I went to help. He touched his scarred face. I was always the hero, you see, always rushing in to save the day. That is not a fault. It is when you have a pregnant wife at home who begs you not to go. It is when you promise her you will be careful and then charge into a burning building like a fool. Rosalind could see it in her mind. Damien, young and whole and brave, desperate to save lives. A beam fell, he continued, trapped me. I should have died there. But Catherine came. My pregnant wife came into that burning building to save me. She and 12 of my men. His voice broke. They got me out, but the building collapsed. Catherine was caught in the flames. She died giving birth to our son in the wreckage. The baby died too. All because I had to be a hero. Tears ran down Rosalind's cheeks. It was not your fault. Was it not? If I had stayed home with my wife, she would be alive. My son would be alive. 12 good men would be alive. If you had stayed home, how many would have died in that inn? I do not know. Neither do I. But I know you saved lives that night. I know you tried to do good. Damien laughed bitterly. Good. Yes, I was very good. So good that everyone I loved died because of it. Rosalind moved closer to him. You cannot blame yourself for loving people enough to risk everything for them. Can I not? Watch me. But his anger was cracking. She could see the pain underneath it, the grief that had been eating him alive for 3 years. Without thinking, she reached out and touched his scarred cheek. He flinched, as if she had struck him. Do not, he whispered. Why? Because I am hideous. Because I am cursed. Because everyone I touch dies. I am not dead. Give it time. Despite everything, she smiled. You are not cursed, Damien. You are just a man who loved deeply and lost everything. That does not make you a monster. His good eye searched her face. How can you look at me without flinching? How can you touch these scars? Because they are part of you, and you are not hideous. You are... She struggled for the right word. You are magnificent. Something broke in his expression. 3 years of grief and guilt and self-hatred cracked open like a dam bursting. Rosalind, he whispered, and then his mouth was on hers. The kiss was desperate, hungry. It tasted of loneliness and longing and the terrible need to feel alive again. Rosalind melted into it, her hands fisting in his shirt. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I should not have done that, Damien said. Why? Because you are here against your will. Because I am taking advantage of you. Or you. He searched her face. Am I not? I do not know, she said honestly. I only know that when you kissed me, I felt free. Free? For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. Damien cupped her face in his hands. Rosalind, sweet, brave Rosalind, what are you doing to me? The same thing you are doing to me. He kissed her again, gentler this time. When they parted, he rested his forehead against hers. I swore I would never love again, he whispered. I have never loved at all, she whispered back. Then we are both in terrible danger. Everything changed after that day. Their dinners became intimate conversations. They walked together in the gardens. He taught her to play chess. She played the piano while he turned pages for her. Slowly, carefully, they began to trust each other. What did you want to be when you were a child? Rosalind asked one evening as they sat by the fire in the library. A knight, Damien said immediately. I wanted to rescue damsels and fight dragons. And instead, you became a lord. A failed knight. A failed husband. A failed father. A man, Rosalind corrected. Just a man trying to do his best in an impossible world. He looked at her strangely. When did you become so wise? When I met you. Their relationship was chaste, but charged with tension. Damien never pressed her for more than kisses. He seemed content simply to have her near, but Rosalind found herself wanting more. She had been raised to believe that desire was shameful, that good women endured their husbands' attentions, but did not enjoy them. But when Damien looked at her, when he touched her hand or brushed her hair from her face, she felt fire in her veins. You are thinking very serious thoughts, Damien observed one afternoon as they rode through his estate. Was I so obvious? You get a little wrinkle between your eyebrows when you are thinking hard. She touched her forehead self-consciously. How unladylike. How charming. They had stopped beside a stream. The water sparkled in the sunlight. It was a perfect summer day. Damien, she said suddenly, do you ever think about the future? No. The future is a luxury I cannot afford. Why not? Because I am a man who destroys everything he touches. Because in 8 months you will leave here and return to your life. Because some things are too good to last. What if I did not want to leave? He went very still. What are you saying? What if I wanted to stay? What if I loved you? For a moment hope flickered in his eyes, then he shuttered it. Love is not enough, Rosalind. I loved Catherine with everything I had, and she still died because of me. I am not Catherine. No, you are braver, kinder, more beautiful, which means I have even more to lose, or more to gain. He dismounted and helped her down from her horse. For a moment, she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he stepped back. We should return to the castle. That night at dinner, Damien was distant, polite but cold. It hurt more than Rosalind had expected. "Have I offended you?" she asked finally. "No." "Then why are you treating me like a stranger?" "Because it is safer." "For whom?" "For both of us." Rosalind set down her fork. "I am tired of safe, Damien. I have been safe my entire life. Safe and small and invisible. You make me feel alive." "I make you feel trapped." "No, you make me feel free. For the first time in my life, I am exactly who I want to be." "And who is that?" "A woman who loves a scarred lord and does not care what the world thinks of it." Damien's wineglass slipped from nerveless fingers. It shattered on the marble floor, red wine spreading like blood. "Rosalind, I love you," she said simply. "I know you think it is impossible. I know you think you do not deserve it. But I love you anyway." "You cannot." "I can. I do." He stood abruptly, knocking over his chair. "This changes nothing." "It changes everything. In 8 months you will leave. The contract. Damn the contract. I will not let you sacrifice your future for me. My future is with you. If you will have me." Damien stared at her across the candlelit table. In the flickering light, his scars seemed to fade. He looked like the man he might have been in another life. The man he still could be. "You do not know what you are saying." "I know exactly what I am saying. I am saying that I love you. I am saying that I want to stay with you. I am saying that I do not care about your scars or your guilt or your past. I care about you, and I am saying that love is not enough. I am saying that I will destroy you just as I destroyed Catherine. I am saying that you should run from me as fast as you can." "Then you are a fool." The word hung in the air between them, like a challenge. "What did you say?" "I said you are a fool. You think your scars make you unlovable. You think your past makes you unworthy. You think that because tragedy found you once, it will find you again. But you are wrong." "Am I?" "Yes. You are a good man, Damien Blackmoor. A kind man, a man worth loving. And if you cannot see that, then you are the biggest fool in England." With that, she swept from the room, leaving him standing alone among the broken glass and spilled wine. Rosalind did not come to dinner the next evening, or the evening after that. She took her meals in her room, and avoided the parts of the castle where she might encounter Damien. It was childish, she knew, but she had offered him her heart and he had thrown it back in her face. She needed time to heal. On the third day, Agnes knocked on her door. "His lordship wants to see you in the library." "Tell his lordship I am indisposed. I tried that yesterday, and the day before. He is not a patient man." "Miss." Rosalind sighed. She could not avoid him forever. This was his castle, after all. She found him standing by the window, staring out at the gardens. He looked terrible. His hair was unkempt. His clothes wrinkled. There were dark circles under his eyes. "You sent for me?" He turned. "I have been thinking. How exhausting for you." His mouth quirked slightly. "You are angry with me. I am disappointed in you. There is a difference." "Is there?" Anger fades. Disappointment lingers. Damien moved closer. "I have disappointed many people, Rosalind, but disappointing you is agony." "Then do not do it." "It is not that simple." "It is exactly that simple. You love me, I love you. Everything else is just fear." "What if the fear is justified? What if loving me gets you killed? What if not loving you kills me anyway?" The question hung between them. Damien's face went pale. "What do you mean?" "I mean that I have been half alive my entire life. I mean that these past weeks, with you have been the only real moments I have ever experienced. I mean that I would rather die loving you than live without you. Do not say that. Why? Because it frightens you. Good. Love should be frightening. It should be overwhelming. It should change everything. And if I hurt you, you already are hurting me. Every day you push me away. You hurt me. Damien ran his hands through his hair. I do not know how to do this. Rosalind, I do not know how to love someone without destroying them. You learn, we learn together. And if I fail, then we fail together. But at least we try. For a long moment, they stared at each other across the library. The air between them crackled with tension and longing, and the terrible vulnerability of two hearts laid bare. I love you, Damien said suddenly. God help me, I love you more than life itself. Then stop fighting it. I am terrified. So am I. I do not want to lose you. Then do not let me go. He crossed the room in 3 quick strides and pulled her into his arms. This kiss was different from the others. It was not desperate or guilty. It was a promise. Marry me, he whispered against her lips. Yes, I will probably make you miserable. I will probably make you miserable too. We are both mad, completely. He kissed her again, deeper this time. I love you, Rosalind Ashworth. I love your courage and your kindness and the way you make me want to be a better man. I love you too, Damien Blackmoor. I love your pain and your strength and the way you make me feel beautiful. You're beautiful, inside and out. So are you. They held each other in the afternoon sunlight, 2 damaged souls who had found healing in each other's arms. They were married a month later in the chapel at Blackmoor Castle. It was a small ceremony, just the household staff and the local vicar. Rosalind wore Catherine's wedding dress, altered to fit her smaller frame. She had worried that it would feel wrong, wearing a dead woman's gown, but Catherine smiled down at her from the portraits, and Rosalind felt only blessing. She would have liked you, Damien said that night as he helped her out of the elaborate dress. She would have been happy that I found love again. Are you sure? I am sure. Catherine had the biggest heart of anyone I ever knew. She would want me to be happy. And are you happy? He cupped her face in his hands. Deliriously, impossibly, completely. Their wedding night was tender and passionate, and everything Rosalind had dreamed it could be. Damien worshipped her body with reverent hands and gentle kisses. He made her feel precious, cherished, loved beyond measure. Afterwards, they lay entwined in his massive bed, her head on his chest. No regrets? He asked, stroking her hair. Only one. What is that? That we did not do this sooner. He laughed. Greedy woman. Your greedy woman. Mine, he agreed. Always mine. The months that followed were the happiest of both their lives. They traveled together, visiting Paris and Rome and Vienna. They entertained guests at Blackmoor. They rode and read and talked for hours by the fire. And they loved each other with the desperate intensity of 2 people who had almost missed their chance at happiness. You have changed me, Damien told her one evening as they walked in their garden. It was spring now, and the roses were beginning to bloom. How? You have given me hope. Before you, I was just existing, going through the motions of life. Now I am living. You have changed me too. You have made me brave. You were always brave. You just needed someone to see it. They paused beside the fountain where they had first kissed. As an engaged couple, the water sparkled in the moonlight. Damien, Rosalind said suddenly, I have something to tell you. What is it, my love? She took his hands and placed them on her still flat stomach. We are going to have a baby. Damien went completely still. A baby? Yes. Are you happy? For answer, he swept her up in his arms and spun her around, both of them laughing with joy. "Happy," he said, setting her down gently. "I am ecstatic, terrified, but ecstatic." Terrified? What if I am a terrible father? What if something goes wrong? What if... She silenced him with a kiss. What if everything goes right? What if we have a beautiful, healthy baby who grows up surrounded by love? What if we get our happy ending? Do you really believe that is possible? I believe anything is possible when we are together. 9 months later, Rosalind gave birth to a son. They named him James, after Damien's father. He had his mother's dark hair and his father's intelligent eyes. Damien wept when he held his son for the first time. "He is perfect," he whispered. "Absolutely perfect. Just like his father," Rosalind said softly. "I am not perfect, my love. I am scarred and broken." "And mine," she interrupted. "Scars and all, broken pieces and all. And I would not change a single thing about you." 2 years later, they had a daughter, then another son. Blackmoor Castle filled with the sound of children's laughter. Damien proved to be a wonderful father, patient and loving, and endlessly inventive. He told his children stories of brave knights and beautiful princesses. He taught them to ride and to read and to be kind to those less fortunate. "You are not the man you were when I met you," Rosalind told him one evening as they watched their children play in the garden. "No, you are better, stronger, the man you were always meant to be." "And what man is that?" "A man who loves deeply and is loved in return. A man who has learned that scars can be beautiful. A man who knows that the past does not define the future." Damien pulled her close. "I love you, Lady Blackmoor. And I love you, Lord Blackmoor, always and forever." They lived happily ever after, as people in the best stories do, not because their life was perfect, but because they had learned that love is not about perfection. It is about acceptance. It is about seeing someone's scars and loving them not in spite of those scars, but because of them. It is about taking 2 broken pieces and making something beautiful. It is about choosing love every single day, no matter how frightening that choice might be. And they chose love. Damien and Rosalind. Every day for the rest of their lives, they chose love.